I think they're going to bring some chairs up for us.
Oh, yes.
You don't get away that quickly. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
All right.
That's okay.
Delighted.
Thank you. Malcolm, thanks for that great talk.
Thank you.
You're a global icon. You're the best-selling author of the 21st century. And you have a way of stating something that wasn't obvious and then making it obvious. And you're the master of that. You found some great insights into business, into life. So what's intriguing you now?
All kinds of things. I'm really interested in the notion of trust, particularly in the relationship between government and citizens and governments and companies. That I think that we have undervalued the importance of trust, and that we have unwittingly created, distorted the relationships, particularly between, if you look at something very simple, I've been really interested in the General Motors ignition switch controversy, which is a fascinating controversy on many, many levels. But fundamentally, I've been appalled at the attitude of regulators towards the company. That is to take an incredibly complex problem that's caused by a breakdown in the information systems and management culture of an organization and criminalize it is crazy, right? If you can't make a distinction between the things that people do for criminal reasons, because they're immoral or venal, and the things people do simply because they haven't managed to wrap their arms around the complexity of their business, then that's a serious problem if our government can't. And that sort of, I see that pattern repeated again and again and again, that there's something that's gone amiss in the relationship between.
Well, I think in Civilization 3.0, companies are going to move from being rules-based to being values-based. Mm-hmm. And so perhaps, the values and the trust kind of are tied.
Well, the thing that's interesting, I thought of that when you were talking about this, is that you have to, if that's the case, and I think you're absolutely right, then government has to realign itself as well with that set of values. In other words, you can't have a government that's behaving like it's Civilization 2.0 when the rest of us are trying to work towards 3.0, right? They have to move in lockstep. You see this fight about, the fights about Uber and Airbnb around the country, that there is this incredible reluctance to understand that this new way of doing things is not a threat to our way of life. It just has a different set of costs and benefits. That
it enhances it.
Yeah.
Now, we're both sports fans. You famously said that in 50 years, there'll be no more football, American football. Of course, more basketball fans for me, so I'm okay with that.
That's right.
But why did you say that?
I think football is an unsustainable sport that we are only beginning. I mean, there was a little fact that came out a couple weeks ago that was buried in the Ray Rice controversy, which was the NFL got its actuaries to estimate what percentage of retired NFL players would have injuries from playing the sport of football so severe that they would potentially require some degree of help from the league, and it was a third. So you have basically a sport that has admitted that it's maiming a third of its employees. How is that sustainable? If I said to you, Vivek, that in the course of working at TIBCO, 1/3 of your employees would suffer from some kind of irreversible brain trauma, do you think that you could continue to have No, you couldn't. This is a fantasy. How does this go on? It doesn't go on. What parent is going to once these facts get out, first of all, no right-minded parent will let their kid play football. Why would you? Right? You want to, particularly when you know how vulnerable kids are to neurological damage.
I think a rule we have in Silicon Valley is that only the CEO is allowed to have brain trauma. So there's rules for one guy in each company. And that's taken.
Well, that's only if you define narcissism as a neurological abnormality.
Appreciate it.
But
I have to tell you guys a story. One day, I woke up and I found that Jimmy Fallon was following me on Twitter. Uh-huh. And I was like, well, how does Jimmy Fallon even know who I am? And of course, I have the great Malcolm Gladwell to thank that I now have Jimmy Fallon as a
Oh, right,
follower.
because I went on a show and mentioned you. That's yes.
Well, thank you. That was, you've done many nice things for me, but that was, that
If I'd known
right
it was
up
that
there.
easy,
No. Malcolm, it's been a huge privilege and a huge honor to have you. And we look forward to your next book. Thank you for joining us in San Francisco.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.